Hello everyone. My name is Tui. I am a junior product manager and part of the team working on expanding our support for open access monitoring. So in the next 30 minutes or so, we will take a brief look into the changing landscapes of open access compliance and how we plan to respond to these challenges. So I've divided the presentation into the following sections. Without further ado, let's dive in. So currently, Elements is already helping institutions to support and streamline your open access workflows. Our repository integrations allow harvesting from and also depositing into your institutional repositories and use them as data sources to maintain an accurate representation of the outputs and also minimize the duplicates and efforts. At the same time, the OA Monitor module focuses on tracking the proportion of articles deposited in the integrated repository. So at the heart of all this module is overseeing the activities for Green OA. This involves keeping an eye on very detailed metadata about different types of publications with different funding sources and potentially also multiple authors of different statuses. Our OA Monitor supports defining an open access policy, from what groups of users and publications are included in the policy to very detailed instructions about what compliance could mean. You can exclude inactive users or publications with embargo requests. We offer a complex algorithm to check compliances based on deposit deadlines, embargo periods, deposit file versions, and so on. With a defined policy, users could set up prompts for researchers at various steps of the workflows to deposit full text to the institutional repository for publications covered by that policy. So the goal is to provide users with actionable information about how they can increase the proportion of deposited workflows. However, things are changing in the environment of monitoring OA progress. So to start with, a publication can become open access in more ways, and our diagrams become more and more colorful as time passes. More criteria are considered and more stakeholders are involved. Researchers and organizations have various options, not only for publishing the work, but also for depositing the manuscripts. Apart from gold and green OA, we now also need to consider various hybrids and development of preprints and transformative deals. The new OA pathways created flexible and often better alternatives for research to become more open. But at the same time, this also means more variables and considerations for institutions in different parts of the workflow. How to utilize preprints and online publication metadata, what platforms or servers are considered compliant by funders, how to make research data available to the public as required, what are the costs when you publish with this platform rather than the other one, so on and so forth. Meanwhile, as we have seen recently, particularly throughout the pandemic, the awareness and engagement in the transitioning to OA is accelerating globally. So you could see in the chart in the lower right-hand corner, this chart is taken from Roadmap, shows clearly the increase of OA policy adopted by research organizations and funders in the past decade, going from in the very left side of the chart from 2005 to at about 120 policies registered to this year, over 1,000 policies registered on Roadmap. Hello? Sorry, I think I just got disconnected for a second. Where was I? Yes, there have been a lot more policies. More and more research institutions are required by funders and national assessments as well to give accounts of how the funded projects are compliant, showing that the institutions are managing funds efficiently, and also offering support to researchers. We see more and more diverse requirements across regions and funders. For example, UKRI requires for research articles to either the version of record immediately available upon publication or the author's manuscript deposited in the repository. While for NIH, they ask that articles to be submitted to NIH MS upon acceptance and publicly available on PubMed Central. ARC has another set of criteria. Articles should be open access within 12 months of publication. And you could see that there are different requires around metadata, different thoughts or needs around data, research data included or reference to in the articles as well. With that said, latest updates to policies do suggest that there are some kind of trends of similar requirements actually emerging globally. Take UKRI in the UK, the most recent White House OSTP memo, and also NHMRC from Australia, the latest policy updates in 2022. They all require the research outputs to be made open immediately upon publication. They do not allow any embargo for the funded research. They many of them start to specify the reuse license that should be applied to the publications, and also more and more attention on making research data available to the wider public. So with these recent changes, our work to help monitoring OM activities becomes much more complex. We want to find an efficient and also sustainable way to support our community. We want to avoid unnecessary costs, foster stronger engagement, and most importantly, adapt our system to a more streamlined and simplified hub of OA research data sources. In our ongoing review, we have focused on the following two areas. As more policies emerge, there are more criteria and more specifics. We can no longer focus just on one pathway. This chart here from Sherpa Julia shows that UK, for example, is one of the most developed area when it comes to funder policies. There are 82 policies registered. About half of these policies registered have specifications around OA archiving requirements, and 36% of OA publishing requirements. US and Canada both have very high percentage of the policies requiring OA archiving. Recent memo from OSTP also makes a leap on prompting federal agencies to each set up their own policies with potentially many more different requirements coming up. So with all the new policies, the metadata we need to monitor OA activities is no longer the same. For example, new UKRI policy now covers monographs and considers gold OA as compliant. Plus, the requirements for green OA pathways have also changed. Some policies require depositing on online platforms, while others include much shorter grace periods for deposit and specifics on versions and reuse licenses. And as mentioned earlier, we also see a strong inclination on making not just the articles, but also the research data available. In other words, now institutions need to consider multiple pathways and different sets of data points to capture and to curate. This means the work entailed to support researchers to be as compliant as possible has also changed a lot. Perhaps you want to help researchers choose an open journal to publish in, prompting researchers to deposit the right version of the work with the right license together with the research data sets, and maybe also include a statement about data availability. Or you want to support researchers with APC applications or copyright and retention, so on and so forth. So in response to the recent changes, we are having ongoing conversations with our users and have planned some updates. First up, we continue to extend our range of integrations with Figshare, ePrints, DSpace, and Hyrax to ensure organizations can continue to streamline deposit workflows and have the data they need for reporting and monitoring. So we have recently delivered in version 6.7 to 6.9 the new integrations to between RT2 and DSpace 7, and also added additional functionalities to fixture for institutions. We are now capturing more OA-related metadata from various sources. So to broaden the coverage of monitoring existing OA pathways, for example, we have started capturing OA status from Web of Science, EPMC dimensions, with data feeding in from unpaywall, and also data from DOAJ for Gold OA information on a journal level. To address the changes brought about by new funder mandates, we are expanding our coverage of metadata for more use cases, including acceptance date to help the calculation of deposit deadlines, journal review policies for peer review status, first received date from EPMC to help you track that depositing process, and also some information on APCs and further indicators of the open access level on journals as well. And so most of these have been delivered in version 6.9, and the latest delivery of capture of file level metadata from EPMC should be expected in the latest release 6.10. We are also developing options to capture statements around data accessibility and rights attention, and we would love to hear more from you about your needs around these areas as things develop. And we are also reviewing what we may be able to capture around deposit statistics and see if there is more demand around these in terms of OA monitoring. With all the existing and new data points and elements now, we also want you to utilize it to the fullest extent. So to help you plan for actions, make decisions, and set up strategies based on real data, we will start to offer OA-specific reports and dashboards in the reporting hub. So these may include current activities and identify actions that need to be taken. We want to help you see trends of adopted pathways and even projections. We want to help you showcase the progress your teams and institutions have made in terms of making research more open. And for further customized needs, we will make more data available in the reporting database so that you could create or ask us to create for you reports tailored to your workflows. We are also updating existing stock reports so that you could access new core fields easily, and all the new data will be available via the basic reports as well. And we do not plan to stop there. To really help you save time, maximize compliance, and make your transitioning into OA smoother, we're planning to extend the OA monitor to support more than just one single OA policy. So this involves defining new models to replace the current focus on green OA compliance. We're expanding the parameters and concepts adapted to different policies and pathways, such as Gold OA and reuse licenses and so on. Which would then be used to revise the compliance calculation mechanism to cover more specifics associated with key funder policies. We will introduce a new model that is the capacity to monitor multiple policies using policy views in addition to the existing institutional policy based on primary groups. You could define the policy, define the coverage, the compliance, and interaction in the policy that fit funder mandates better. So, and finally, we will adjust the existing OA monitor functionality and UI as needed in light of these bigger changes. Here is a estimated delivery phase, a timeline for the delivery. I appreciate that it is not very precise and we are still ironing out some details, but as you can see in Q2 and Q3, we have already delivered improvements on repository integrations and new options to set reuse license as mandatory on deposits and additional OA metadata. In Q4, we will focus on making the new data available to report on and also available in the interactive dashboards. We will add new parameters to OA policy configuration. And next up, we will look into expanding the OA monitor module itself. So in order to help us progress faster, we really need your help. So we have some initial thoughts on what could go into the new OA reports and dashboards, such as reports on proportions of works published or uploaded via different pathways, dashboards highlighting compliance or exceptions reporting and so on. And I would really love to hear from our users. And we are also looking for more participants in the ongoing user research. And if you are interested in sharing your experience and also your workflow with us, telling us where the biggest pain points are, we would love to hear from you. That is my presentation. Any questions or comments?